All right, I want to welcome y'all back. I had a few things that went on. I had to change up, but I want to welcome y'all to Fearen Reacts. Now, what are the videos that I have right now are about time travel. I want to know, is it real or is it something that they're hiding from us? Without further ado, I'd like to get to the video and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel and comment, and matter of fact, hype me up. Let's get to the video.
Actually see them again. November 18th, the Leonids peak, and those are the meteors that are famous for fireballs bright enough to light up the entire sky. December 13th into the 14th, the Geminids are going to hit 150 per hour, which makes it the strongest meteor shower of the entire year.
On the night of December 13th into the morning of the 14th, Earth is going to witness a beautiful meteor shower, one of the best ones I find of all year.
2026 then ends on Christmas Eve with the biggest, closest supermoon that we have seen all year long. I am going to remind you before every single one of these, so make sure you go ahead and add me now if you want to get the reminder and not miss it.
There are people here that have the ability to predict the future. It's been documented. And recently, a man in South Carolina walked up to someone's car and said that on July 15th, which is today, at 6 p.m., we're gonna have a worldwide earthquake. But that wasn't even the scary part. The scary part was when he said that on August 29th at 6 p.m., Jesus Christ was coming back to judge the world. You heard what I just said? I'm guessing you don't believe that. Here's a clip from the video I did before. Look at this shit. I need you to pay attention to how confident this man is. Listen.
What you say gonna happen? Worldwide earthquake, July 15th at 6 p.m. Judgment begins in the house of God, August the 29th at 6 p.m. Jesus Christ returns to judge the world and end it.
Listen.
Wait, come on. And what's gonna happen though? Worldwide earthquake. What do you know what today is? Yes, I know. What is it? 23rd. Oh, what? Of May. And what's gonna happen? July the 15th at 6 p.m. Remember the day of the 52. Alright.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you an angel? Angel 69?
Today is July 15th. So I'm guessing all we could do is wait.
Welcome to the fucking news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's some of the shit going on in the world around you. There are over 300 active fires burning across Canada between Ontario and Quebec, 69 of which are out of control. No deaths or injuries have been reported, but thousands have been evacuated and over 1 million acres have been burned. And the smoke is drastically affecting the air quality of more than 100 million people in Canada and parts of the US as the wind blows it south. Also in the United States, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced mandatory annual testosterone deficiency screenings for military service members over 30. President Trump no longer plans to charge the 20% fee he mentioned earlier this week for ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz. Instead, he's threatening to strike Iranian bridges and energy facilities if the Iranian regime doesn't come back to the negotiating table. In and around the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. military continues to strike Iranian monitoring and munitions infrastructure, while Iran is striking ships crossing the strait and more regional U.S. military sites. Separately, but not completely unrelated, Israel and Lebanon have reportedly agreed on the pilot zones outlined in their ceasefire agreement, supposedly moving one step closer to implementing Israel's withdrawal. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes in Gaza hit a police station and refugee camp, among other sites, killing at least 14 people, including 6 police officers, and injuring at least 12. There was an attempt in Congress to block over $3 billion in military funding for Israel, but you're not going to believe this. It was voted down by the House.
This is news that we don't even see. Half of the time, we don't even see all of this on the news.
10 people were rescued, but at least 50 are missing and believed dead. Ukraine has been focusing on striking Russian oil tankers in the Black Sea, attempting to hurt Russia's economy by forcing them to limit their export shipping, while also cutting off deliveries to occupied Crimea. Russia, on the other hand, continues striking sites across Ukraine, including civilian areas. 9 people have died and 13 have been injured over the past few days. And in the DR Congo, healthcare workers on the front lines of the Ebola outbreak have gone on strike after not receiving enough supplies, staff, or pay. The number of infected has crossed over 2,000 and over 750 deaths, which is a 37% fatality rate. Tell me what you think of all that and follow me if you give a shit.
This is our sun today for July 15th, 2026. Welcome to another surviving day on the planet. Thank you so much for joining us on today's space weather update showing the last 48 hours of activity. Most of it was from outgoing sunspot region and as well backside. Coronal mass ejection not headed our way. Looking at another light here, 211 angstroms pointing out the coronal holes. Couple small equatorial, still have a prominent coronal hole in the southern polar region on our sun. Having a look now at our sunspot regions, as we do have a big one coming in for this week's Earth-facing party. There is the big blackened sunspot there, turning into view. So current space weather conditions are none to report. Solar winds still elevated, 488 kilometers per second. Here is the latest and updated space weather spiral with short-range geostorm forecast, aurora forecast. So, today, impacts, minor geomagnetic impacts, and as well, impacts from the coronal hole. We'll leave you here looking at LASCO 3, showing all cosmic energies leaving our sun the last 2 days. Hope you have a safe and healthy day, aware and prepared, and stay hydrated. It's very warm out there. Much love. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.
So y'all don't think people time travel? Y'all don't think people have the ability to predict the future? Well, if they can't, then how is this possible? Let's talk about how somebody tweeted that Argentina will beat Spain at the 2026 World Cup 3-2. I know what you're going to say. Easy, that's who they rooting for. Look at the date right there. He tweeted this July 11th, 2021 at 4:28 p.m. What year is it? And then we fast forward. Argentina is playing Spain in the World Cup on July 19th. I want you to tell me how that's possible. Then I also want you to tell me if Argentina beats Spain 3-2, what does that mean? It's going to be a lot of people that say the account that tweeted that was fake. You could do that easily. That's a fake account. Oh yeah? Look at this. I made it my business to go through this account thoroughly. Look when the account started. March 2017. What year is this? Look at this right here. Now you tell me what you think. Is it a fake account now? Mind you, I jumped down the rabbit hole. And guess what? In these same comments, you have people saying that The Simpsons predicted the same exact thing. So now and again, my question to you is, if Argentina wins the 2026 World Cup 3-2, beating Spain 3-2, what does that mean? Does that mean a time traveler put this up here? Or does that mean that somebody that can predict the future predicted the future? Let me know.
Here's the last 24 hours in geopolitics. In U.S., Trump warned the U.S. could strike Iran's bridges and power plants next week unless Tehran returns to talks. In Iran, Iran's health ministry said at least 35 people were killed and 300 wounded in recent U.S. attacks on Iran. In Israel, PM Netanyahu is expected to visit the United States on Saturday and hopes to meet President Trump. In Russia, Ukraine said it struck 20 Russian vessels, including 17 oil tankers, in a major Black Sea drone operation. In Ukraine, Russian overnight attacks killed 8, including 3 each in Odessa and Sumy, damaging infrastructure. In U.S., Trump questioned reports on the Minab school strike, suggesting images were AI-generated and inconclusive. In Iran, U.S. completed a 90-minute strike on Iranian sites, while Iran said 7 troops were killed and vowed retaliation. In Libya, a migrant boat carrying about 60 people capsized off eastern Libya, leaving at least 50 dead or missing. In France, wildfires south of Paris burned over 1,300 hectares as police arrested 2 suspected arsonists. In Jordan intercepted 3 Iranian missiles, while Kuwait responded to Iranian drone attacks with air defenses. In Japan, oil refiners will diversify crude supplies and support export routes bypassing the Strait of Hormuz. In India, an Indian missing after the attack on commercial vessel GFS Galaxy galaxy near Oman was confirmed dead. In Europe, Ukraine and the EU signed a drone cooperation agreement to expand joint production and defense. In U.S. officials reviewed plans for possible military action against Cuba, though no decision was made. In Iran said there are no plans to resume talks with the U.S., accusing Washington of breaking commitments. In Palestine, an Israeli airstrike in Deir el-Balah killed a family of 3, including a 6-year-old girl, officials said.
Here's everything that happened in America in the last 12 hours. Sources revealed Trump's primetime speech Thursday will accuse China of compromising U.S. voter data in the 2020 election, with evidence the CIA withheld that information from Trump during his first term, despite intelligence agencies previously assessing with high confidence that China did not attempt to influence that election's outcome. Trump reversed a DHS directive suspending ICE traffic stops just 24 hours after officials announced the pause following fatal shootings of 2 men in Maine and Texas, declaring on Truth Social that giving up the traffic stop would be playing directly into criminals' hands. 103 House Democrats voted Wednesday to block billions of dollars in military aid to Israel, splitting the party's top leadership, with House Minority Whip Katherine Clark voting yes and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries voting no, though the measure ultimately failed 104 to 314. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche faced 5 hours of tough questioning at his Senate confirmation hearing over the Epstein files, the Anti-Weaponization Fund, and Trump's IRS settlement, with his confirmation not yet assured as Republican Senators Cornyn and Tillis both expressed serious reservations. The U.S. announced 25% tariffs on most Brazilian imports effective July 22nd, after a year-long investigation concluded Brazil engaged in unfair trade practices, including censoring American tech companies, blocking ethanol imports, and failing to enforce intellectual property protections. The New York Times filed a legal motion Wednesday to quash federal subpoenas demanding 4 of its reporters reveal their sources before a grand jury, calling the subpoenas brought in bad faith to punish the Times for its Air Force One coverage. Defense Secretary Hegseth announced mandatory annual testosterone screening for all troops aged 30 and older, framing it as a way to keep warfighters on the leading edge of lethality, with treatment remaining optional if low levels are detected. The U.S. Mint began producing a gold-colored $1 coin featuring Trump's portrait to commemorate America's 250th anniversary, with the words "Liberty, in God We Trust" and the dates 1776 to 2026 on the front, despite federal law traditionally prohibiting living presidents from appearing on U.S. currency.
If you're in New York and you're wondering why the air quality feels off or why you smell smoke, well, just like in 2023, there is smoke traveling from Canada to New York. It's happening because of the wildfires in Canada. This is what 2 p.m. in New York City look like. So just imagine what's over here right now. And I know you're going to ask yourself, how is smoke traveling this far from Canada? Well, this is the reason right here. They're saying that all of these states that's highlighted is about to feel every last bit of this smoke that's coming from Canada. So basically, all these states is about to look like a club indictment on a Saturday night. Correct. Look at this shit right here. And just to let you know how real it is, this is New England right here. Look at New England. Look at all of that smoke that came from Canada to New England. You okay? You see what I'm talking about, right? You had Mayor Mamdani put out the PSA to let you know that the air quality has reached unhealthy levels. So basically what he's saying, if you ain't got to go outside, don't go outside. I'm just trying to figure out how that smoke traveled 9 hours and 25 minutes. Canada is far from here. I'm out.
So ISIS has a strong desire to attack our homeland.
A clear and present danger to the U.S. homeland.
This new security warning right here in the U.S.
Future attacks from ISIS are not a question of if, but when.
We should believe them when they say that. They're going to try to do it.
Updates coming out in the last 48 hours that foreign terrorists are targeting the U.S. becoming an increasing concern, according to FBI Director Wray. And this is actually coming from ISIS. After ISIS's attack in Moscow, the FBI chief warns similar plans may be brewing here in the United States, and they're saying an attack is inevitable, that they will be attacking the United States. And that same day, just 48 hours ago, on Tuesday, FBI also arrested an Idaho 18-year-old for violent plot to attack churches on behalf of ISIS. They're saying public gatherings, places of worship are on the target list for ISIS to attack here in the U.S. on our own soil. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest information on this, and also
it's being predicted that on July 18th, 2026, a 9-day global blackout is coming. Well, look at these claims, other recent references to blackouts, 3 days of darkness, 9-day blackouts, 10-day blackouts, the sun going dark for 6 minutes. This is a very common trend that pops up throughout the years. We'll look at all these claims, and then we'll end the video off on the most likely possibility as to blackouts that could come, but how even those could be futile. Here's the recent prediction that has been going around in relation to a global blackout. On July 18th, 2026, the world will experience a 9-day global blackout, not because someone planned it. They won't warn you because silence is part of the protocol. It's part of Agenda 2030. It says to read the caption, and within that caption, it talks about how this is not a glitch, it's not an accident, it's a coordinated system reset. Electrical grids offline, communication networks dead, satellites gone, no warning, no emergency broadcast, the world just stops. This is not an accurate prediction. First off, that's obviously written by ChatGPT. Secondly, this whole global blackout thing pops up all the time. This is a regular occurrence throughout the years. This one was posted on December 4th, 2025, saying that there was going to be a digital global blackout on December 22nd.
December 22nd, a digital blackout has been planned by negative extraterrestrial factions aligned with the old cabal, Galactic Federation reports. Plan involves full-scale disruption of internet grids, satellite relays and digital banking system, mobile networks, GPS positioning, and social media platforms. And that is the origin of the 3 days of darkness that everybody was talking about. Only now they're not going to block the sun anymore because they can't, but they're going to try to do digital blackout. 3-day digital blackout.
It's funny that someone in the comments said, wait, how are we supposed to join your meditation group if we're in a blackout? These people don't even think these things through. This NASA predicts days of darkness, or the 3 days of darkness.
We have the third largest marginal threat of severe weather of all time issued by the Storm Prediction Center. This encompasses 833,000 square miles of the United States. That's nearly half of the lower 48 that is under at least some level of severe weather tomorrow. Obviously, a marginal threat is a very low-end threat of severe weather, but nonetheless, this is a massive area. It goes from New Mexico and Colorado back into the Ohio Valley and as well as the Great Lakes. We also have a threat back along the East Coast. Main concern for Friday will be damaging winds with any storms that fire up. Also, there is a threat of large hail that'll be primarily outside of Chicago, back over towards areas like Kansas City. There's also a chance for a few tornadoes. This will also come down to storm mode and what exactly evolves today. I would not be surprised if this tornado threat is higher on Friday, but it is again conditional. So this is something that we're keeping an eye on. I also think this area may grow depending on the evolution of the storms today. We may see this 2% or even 5% tornado risk even grow outside of this area to basically include anywhere in the black circle I just drew. So just keep in mind there's a potential for tornadoes. Obviously, the highest confidence is in the green, but we may see this expand in a future outlook depending on what evolves today in terms of our severe weather threat. And then on Saturday, the threat of severe weather will continue.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all, we all need to pay attention to this because the NOAA, they just put out an El Nino watch for the summer. They are saying this summer, the planet is finna heat up like it has never did before. They said it's a strong chance that the El Nino can develop this summer and it's gonna last throughout the whole year. So they saying the El Nino pushes stored heat from the ocean up to the surface and then up to the atmosphere. When that happen, if that happen, you can expect the global temperatures to go up. And they said can get weird patterns in the weather. Like one day it can be real hot, then out of nowhere, like a second later, it's gonna be raining and shit. So you know, over the years, they've been talking about the ocean been warming up. So I guess this is their way, well, its way of releasing the heat.
there's a massive 9.5 earthquake predicted worldwide for today, July 15th, 2026. I say it again. There's a worldwide earthquake predicted for today, July 15th at 6 p.m. And if that frightens you, you're silly. Because here's the thing about it. There's no such thing as a prophet. There is a such thing as a false prophet. Meaning, if no one is connected to divine source, that means they're loony. So if this earthquake that's predicted for today, July 15th, 2026, if it actually happens, I'll be a believer. But till then, every single human on this planet who professes to know anything other than what any other human knows or is connected to anything higher than nothingness is a liar. You're not connected to divine source. No one is. But there's an earthquake predicted for today, 6 p.m. Let's see what happens. I'm out.
Here's everything that happened in America in the last.
All right. That was all I had for you for today. What do y'all think? If you feel like time travel is real and you want to comment on it, if you feel like all these events that's happening around the world, that they're hiding it from us, give me a comment on some of this stuff that we're seeing. We never see it in the news. We have to be in this community to just find out what's going on around the world. This is a hidden stuff, little stuff that they never talk about. But if you feel some way about this, give me comments in the comments section. Like my videos, subscribe to my channel. I'll have more content coming. But yeah, these are the most disturbing videos that I found on the internet. Time travel and everything else. Now, get back